Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm Simona Nicole, host of the show, mindset coach, and motivational speaker. I've made it my mission to help you get unstuck, shift your mindset, and understand your worth to help you live your most purposeful life. Each week, I will bring you an idea, guest, or a positive thought that will leave you inspired and empowered to win your life. We decide the stories we tell ourselves and where we invest our energy. I'm so grateful you popped in. Now let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I'm so excited because this episode is going to be really, really great. We have Hildie Dunn with us today, and she has so much enthusiasm. I already can tell. So kind, so sweet, and is so well suited to coaching because of this. Her spirit is infectious and inspiring to her clients and colleagues, and that's balanced by her desire to see people through not only their victories, but also through the roughest patches of their lives. Her mission as a coach with the Handel Group Life Coaching is to empower people to live extraordinary lives and reach their dreams with joy and intention. Don't know if you're already excited, but I am. She received her bachelor's degree in English with a minor in education from LaSalle University and her master's degree in student personnel work with an emphasis on human development from the Ohio State University. She dove into the educational world and has been committed to educating and helping people of all ages flourish ever since. She was formerly a fourth grade teacher in Newark, New Jersey. I have family that's near there, Newark, near there. Anyways, was an assistant dean of Ursinus College in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. Hildie saw her opportunity to help adults continue to learn and evolve when she found Intensati, which we're going to dive into. And she loved this powerful heart, mind, body fitness practice that she became an instructor. As an assistant program manager at Johnson & Johnson, she not only led Intensati classes, but also co-led their corporate wellness program. That's amazing. And lastly, Hildy is also a practicing nutritional counselor, educated at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and is a certified personal trainer. She brings integrity and a unique knowledge of the body-mind connection to her clients, and she leads Handel Group events in New York metro area, group telecourses, and privately coaches clients. She's a mother of 3 young adults, and she lives with one bouncy chocolate lab and one little Shipu in New Jersey. I love all of this so much, Hildie, because I used to have a Shipu as well, and they are so cute.
So cute and so like they're disciplined. They know what they want. They're like bossy. They're bossy.
They are bossy, and they kind of sass you a little bit too. Like they look at you like, but I don't want to do that, and you're like, well, you don't really have a choice. Oh my goodness. So to get us started off, could you please tell us a little bit about the journey that brought you to where you are today? I know we went through some of it, but would love to know firsthand from you.
Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to be a teacher from the time I was a little girl. So then, I started to go through schooling, and then I ended up being the dean at a college, which I loved. I taught fourth grade for a little while. Education is just in my blood. My dad was a teacher. It just is like wanting to help people grow and become better and learn what they need to learn has always been with me. So I was on my journey. I was working as a dean at a college. I was like, close, but not exactly it. And then I moved into the fitness world and the wellness world because I'm like, people experience their worlds through their bodies. So let me deal with the body, but I'm like, something is missing there. And while I was at a fitness convention, I took this class called Intensati. So Inten stands for intention, and Sati is Sanskrit for mindfulness. So it is a class that is cardio based. So it's a combination of like martial arts and dance and, like aerobic moves with positive affirmations. So you're speaking while you're working out, which to me was like, oh my gosh, exactly what I really want to deal with. Get people moving, but understand what's going on that's keeping them stuck. And this class, just first time I took the class, I was just sobbing, because usually when I work out, it's like, go harder, jump higher, you're not good enough, it's hurt, you've got to do more, look at that, like thinking that you could be mean to yourself to inspire yourself, or somehow hate yourself to love yourself. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all wrong. So, I fell in love with this class. And then while I was actually training to be an intensati leader, part of the training was that you had to do coaching, because in order to stand in front of the room and teach people to not only move their bodies, but train their minds, you have to be really able to walk the talk and not just talk it, because that, you can tell when somebody's not really walking their talk. It's not authentic.
Yeah.
So I started to do coaching, and in 3 months, I completely shifted my life. It was dramatic. And I was like, that's it. There's the last piece that I've been like searching for. And so I just trained, and it's a 2-year, it's a long process to be a coach with the Handel Group, because again, you got to walk the talk. So I literally had to go through all the areas of my life and get them really clear and clean and straight, and be going for my dreams, and, tell every lie, clean up every lie that I had. It's like a big, long process. But at the end of it, there's a freedom that you cannot even understand, because the lies and the things that you're not proud of in your life just sits like rocks in a backpack, and you're going through life, and then there's another rock in the backpack, and there's another rock in the backpack, and your backpack gets really heavy. So it was just so freeing. So I do both now. I teach this fitness practice, and mostly teach at a university, as back to education.
As you do.
Because I think really teaching people in college how to train their minds while they train their body really sets them up for a lifetime of wellness.
Yeah.
And I coach. And then, it was just game changing for me from beginning to end, and then what happens with humans is, we get something, we get where we want to go. And then there's another bigger dream. So then I'm like, dreaming bigger. So I continue to use this method to keep growing and evolving myself. So I'm always up in a challenge.
I love that. And I actually want to bounce off of that really quick. I have another question for you in mind, but I want to ask you this one first. When people dream about things, or have like dreams for their business or their life or their goals and like all that kind of stuff, do you find that it's like a good thing or a bad thing to have, not so much, it's kind of a poor choice of words, but do you think it's good to be, dreaming and looking far into the future and setting, where you want to be, but do you also think that it could kind of hinder where you could go if you get too fixated on that one place? Does that make any sense?
Makes a lot of sense. And I think there has to be a combination of both. So when I teach people to dream, you have to have your heart involved. Otherwise, it's a goal. And goals are okay, but you can sell out on a goal so much easier than selling out on your heart, right? So I do think it's a combination. And very often, I'd like to dream a year out, so it's a stretch and doable. But then very often, I also play with a bigger dream. So it's something bigger to play for, but having something that's a year out makes it a little more doable. So if you're just starting in the world of politics, you're not going to say, I'm going to be the president of the United States or the president of, whatever.
Yeah.
You really want to make sure that, you're dreaming in a stretch, but doable, and it keeps you excited and inspired.
I love that, especially because, you hear a lot of people who say like, okay, here's my 5-year plan and I'm going to do this in 5 years. And I always got so, in the past, I always got so hard on myself, because I was like, oh my God, I don't have a 5-year plan. Like, I know what I want to do and where I want to ideally be. But, I think in some way, when you plan too much ahead, it takes some of the fun out of where you could end up.
And then we always have you go back and relook at your dream and retweak it, right? Every year as a coach, we all go back, we create new dreams for the year. And then, we work through them through the year. At the end of the year, where we talk about what our successes were, what our learnings were. failure doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's a place of learning. And then redream for the next year. So, literally my dream now is very different even than what it was 3 years ago, because in these past couple of years, I lost my dad, then my mom, then my aunt. So, having I'm like, wait a minute, there's a world that I need to address. Like, how do we teach people to talk about dying, to face dying, to say goodbye to a loved one, and to use death to like inspire ourselves to live, right? Most of us are like, death, oh my God, don't talk about it. But how about we go, I have so many heartbeats. How am I going to use them? What matters most to me? What do I care about? And adding that into the dream, then, for me, like, that's a whole new dream for me. I'm like, oh, that's it. I have a new place that really matters to me.
Wow. That's so good. And I was just having this conversation with someone, through my Instagram direct messages. And we've been having this conversation kind of over the last few days. And he was saying that, he has a really hard time accepting death and loss, and it creates a lot of anxiety in his life. And it felt that him saying that felt really familiar to me, because I have a lot of the same feelings that come up, and then they try and go, like I try and deal with them and shift and try and see how else I could look at the situation. But what would you say to a client that might be experiencing a loss and isn't sure how to move forward, or is scared about what is about to come if they know they're losing someone?
Totally. And then, so what I say and what I've learned, and really what I teach people now is, conversations matter. Like, really thinking about everything that you want to say, everything that you want to ask them about, like, what really matters to you at the end? Like, what do you want the most? What do you care about the most? What matters to you? Here's all the things I want to thank you for. Here's all the things I want to apologize for. Here's what I want to promise you as to who I'm going to be in the future. So, as a coach, we have to write these, we call them parent letters. We write them to our parents anyway, just as part of like really growing up our relationship with our parents. And then therefore growing up your relationships everywhere, love relationships. If you're stuck in love, you got to go back and also understand your relationship with your parents and look at all of that dynamic. But but doing that when you're saying goodbye to a loved one really makes a difference, because you've had the conversations, and it's scary, because believe me, firsthand, I know having to talk about this with my, with all three of them was hard. But on the other end of it, it was the best thing I ever did, because I got to say everything I needed to say. I got to hear what mattered. My dad's like, I want to be able to go to church to the last minute that I can. Granted. So we all figured out how to make that happen. My mom, she would make pierogies, which are these little Ukrainian stuffed dumplings. Okay, we'll figure that out. Like, we really figure, when they tell you what they want, because you actually ask for it, it allows you to take care of them. And then when you say everything, it builds a bond and a relationship that even death cannot separate you through. Like, right now I have a different relationship with them, with no bodies, no physical body, but having those conversations took the relationship to a completely different level.
That is amazing.
So it's not, and you can hear your inner dialogue of like, oh, don't say that. We shouldn't bring it up. Don't talk about it. And then I even remember, like, years ago, my dad would say, okay, well, when I go, and I'd be like, don't say that. Don't.
Where are you going? Where are you going? We say this all the time. All the time.
But the truth is, everybody's going to die. And if you could talk about it and not only plan for your own death, like, beautifully, like, here's the things I care about. Here's the things that I want to do, and then here's the things that matter most to me, because nobody is laying on their deathbed saying, oh, should have cleaned the kitchen floor, or, I should stay home and, not.
Closet wasn't organized.
Oh my God, the closet wasn't organized. That's like, it really is. What do you care about the most? And then that is such an inspiration to live. And then an inspiration to also make sure you're taking care of the people that you're afraid, or that you don't, it's when it's talk to them when they're getting ready to go, or, or even well before that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that kind of leads into another question that I wanted to ask you. How could someone who's feeling or faced with a lot of anxiety about the future passing of someone, how could they start to shift their thinking? And
Well, first I would say getting all your thoughts down on our thoughts live in our head, and they grow bigger and bigger and bigger, meaning we believe them more and more and more, right? And then they just grow exponentially. But if you actually write them down and get all your thoughts down, like as if there's a microphone to your head and you're dumping it down on paper. Once those thoughts are down on paper, now you could look at them. First of all, it takes some of the power away from them, right? Because they're growing bigger. But then you can start to look at them and hold each thing up and go, what am I really afraid of? And when I actually went through that, like, what am I really afraid of? What am I afraid of? So I actually said to my dad, like, and I might cry, but I was like, I'm going to forget what your voice sounds like, and he's like, and it's really good that I said that, because he said, don't you remember, what did I say to you when you were a little girl and I would see a penny on the ground? I'd go, oh, you would say the angels are talking to us. He's like, yes, when you see a penny, I am talking to you. I will always be there. Look for the pennies, which,
wow.
If I didn't start to write my thoughts down and look at them and then address them, it gave me the awareness for one, what I was worried about, but then that gave me the opportunity to say that to him. And
That's
now,
beautiful.
then I went to my mom and I was like, okay, Dad was pennies, because she, and then I was like, what are you going to be? And she's like, I'm going to be paper clips, right? So then, and then my aunt, who passed away in July, she calls me, she's like, you have to call me back. And I call her back. She's like, I just have to tell you, I'm going to be a butterfly. When you see and I'm like, of course she's going to be a butterfly. There's butterflies all over her house. I wanted to be like, well, that's not a surprise.
That's a given.
That's a given, right? But
so have you seen them? Pennies?
Yes.
Paper clips?
I see pennies and paper clips in the most bizarre places. So this summer, I spoke at a hospice and palliative care conference. And, I'm like, okay, I went with another coach and I was like, let's go get coffee in the morning, just like get outside in the fresh air and get the coffee. And we walked out, and there on the ground was 3 pennies just sitting there. I was like, my dad's like going, good job,
Wow.
He's like, yes, change the world, which is really part of my dream, is teach people, the world needs to learn how to talk about death and dying. We need to talk about mental health. We need to talk about sexuality, but we also need to talk about dying.
Absolutely.
We don't.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I feel like there's a lot of things that we should talk about that we don't talk about it. And I feel like a lot of them are based in fear. You know what I mean? Fear of the unknown, fear of being too honest or too raw with other people. And like, we live in a society now that's so different than it's ever been, like 10, even 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you could never talk about the things that you could talk about today.
I know. And we're lucky. And now it's like time to elevate us one more time. Right. And then,
exactly.
And it's all good. And the more you talk about it, look, the unknown is what causes the anxiety sometimes, but actually writing it down, looking at it, and then being able to build something around it helps. Like I go, okay, I can talk to my parents, and, I can hear my aunt. And then I'm like, here's what I promised them, like really making them a promise, like thanking them for what they've done for me. But then, okay, and here's what I'm promising you. I'm going to be the matriarch in my family. I'm going to teach people to, I'm going to teach everybody in my family one random act of kindness a day. Like, we can change the world with acts of kindness.
Yes.
Okay, what else am I promising them? I'm promising them I'm going to be an amazing wife. I'm going to be a mom that listens to my kids. I'm going to be a cheerleader for what they need. I'm going to be a grandma beyond grandmas, and so promising all of those things also it gives me power back versus being a victim or being powerless. So it's taking your power back in other ways.
Oh, I love that so much. That's so powerful. Do you think that your journey to becoming a coach and coaching in the area that you do has allowed you to see life this way, or have you always seen it this way?
I think coaching really has woken me up to more power. I think I was a positive person, but there's a difference between being positive and like crossing your fingers and squeezing your eyes shut and just hoping it's going to work, like rainbows and unicorns, right? Rather than really grounding it in the understanding of, rainbows and unicorns go so far. And then you really have to, dig down and deal with your inner dialogue and the thoughts and taking the right actions. And the coaching really has people not only dream and like dream in a way that inspires you, but then deal with your thoughts that are actually driving the show. What we think about is literally what we bring about. Our thoughts create our reality, but we seem to forget that. And we seem to think our thoughts are just the truth,
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
yeah.
I'm stuck. Right.
Yeah.
And so, the coaching really helped me understand that I don't have to believe my thoughts. They are simply the thought. I am the thinker. I am not the thought. Like, the thought is my power. And I could change a thought that's not in service of that dream. And then the last big piece with coaching is the action piece. Okay, so then what do I do about it? Because I can think all day long, I could dream all day long, but if I don't translate that into actions, I'm not going to get the results.
Right.
So, and that's what makes you proud.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Wow. You have so much knowledge in how to shift and how to actually live a positive life instead of just saying that you're going to be more positive. You take actionable steps into, being the mom, wife, grandma, coach that is actually full of the life that you project out to other people. You know what I mean? Like, you're actually walking your talk, which is amazing.
Yeah. In all areas, right? Because then, so I had been divorced for like 15 years. I was like, oh, never mind. I'm never finding love. Catch my inner dialogue. And as a coach, this is what we really teach.
Mm-hmm.
To go like, no, that's not true. What am I good? Like, what do I want to believe? How great am I? Who do I want to attract? I have to be that same level of greatness of the person I want to attract, which really woke me up to getting proud in my life, to saying what I need to say, to asking the right questions, to not tiptoeing around the uncomfortable things to say, to always be looking up and doing the things that I know for me is the right things to do to find love.
I love that so much. And I love that you said, you need to be the greatest. You have to match how great that person is. You can't attract and you can't have something that's so incredibly amazing if you don't actually feel that way about yourself to begin with.
Totally. And
right?
That goes through all the areas.
Wow.
So at Handel Group, we take people through we take your life and divide it into 12 areas, because if you're anything like me, it's like some I pay attention to, and other areas I'm like, oh wait, that's fun and adventures an area? And then I have friends that are like, spirituality, that's an area. That's a surprise, right? But, time, relationships, love, money, so if you can look at all these areas and then you can start to design from, what you want, and, it's a fun game to play.
Oh, that's so amazing. I want to go back to when you were talking about I'm going to mess it up again. Intensati, right?
Perfect.
Okay. How has that practice, shifted and changed the way that you approach your life on a day-to-day basis?
It's so beautiful because it was so smart of the founder of Intensati, because she was also coached by the founder of Handel Group. So like their world so beautifully marry, which is why she sent all of us that we had to do some coaching, right? Because it is really understanding your thoughts really do create your reality. So Intensati is not only, so you like, I'll put you in a move called strong, which is a punch, right? And then I have you start embodying what it feels like to be strong. Because if you're punching like this, it's not like the same as like,
it's not empowering.
Really empowering. So you're practicing embodying the emotion, but then you're giving yourself language to say. You're giving yourself an affirmation.
Wow.
I am powerful beyond measure. I'm stronger than I seem. I'm braver than I think. I'm blessed with all I need. Like, when you start to say those things and move, it is transformational, because then the rest of the day you're going around going, I'm braver than I think, I'm stronger than I seem, I'm blessed with all I need, right? And again, you repeat, because we're, as humans, we repeat the same thought. We're not that unique. We have a few thoughts that we repeat over and over again. So if you literally give yourself the thoughts to think, it can make a huge difference, which is actually why we have people write their dreams, because you're literally giving yourself the language that you want to create, that you really want to create from. So Intensati was an amazing practice for me, because it was the first time that I really got aware of how much your inner dialogue drives you, and then how much it is negative, and repeat it. And then you really can't think two things at the same time.
You can't. Yeah.
So if you're thinking, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I have all that I need, I'm blessed beyond measure, you can't go, oh my God, this is hard, she's too bad, I can't jump that hard, what am I going to do next? Like, you literally cannot. So you're training yourself to think the thoughts you want to think in service of a dream.
That's beautiful.
That is a game changer. And then people leave class like so happy and uplifted and inspired, because, like I said, we somehow think that if we're mean to ourselves, it's going to inspire ourselves, and that any negativity is like so good, but actually it's not.
Yeah. It also kind of goes hand in hand with, the people who, well, I actually think a lot of people nowadays, when you're really, really busy, people like glorify, like, I'm so busy, like I have time for nothing. And it's like, good for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you want that though? Like,
yes.
And it's kind of like, what are you burying to not have to deal with your life? You know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to bury within you?
What are you burying? And then the truth is, it doesn't really ever go away. It just stays there. And the bummer is it actually grows bigger and bigger and bigger in your head, meaning you believe it more and more, and it grows exponentially. So you keep trying to hide it, but then you got to do something else to numb it, which is why we're in the world of like, eating or drinking or buying or whatever we're doing to numb the feelings. And it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We somehow think it does, but it never does.
And it's kind of like with social media too, for example. Like, I'm used to be so guilty of this. Like, my fiance and I would sit on the couch at the end of the night, or at the end of the day, we'd be watching something on Netflix, and I'm playing Candy Crush on my phone, completely ignoring the person that's beside me, completely ignoring what's on the screen, and fully submerged into, what's going on in front, what's going on my phone. And I always told myself like, oh, but this is the way that I relax. Like, this is how I decompress. But no, that's how you avoid everything else that's going on in your life.
Yes. And if you actually took that thought and go, this is how I decompress, now you have to look at it from an objective perspective. Like, oh, that's not really how I relax.
Yeah.
In fact, that's more stressful. Oh, that doesn't really work for me. What does work? Like having a grounded, real conversation, like having human interaction, like breath work, like inner, quieting of the mind. That's what works.
Exactly. And that's something that, I feel like once you discover that part. And, you know, heading into like, the world of like spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, and all that, like once you start to understand how powerful that actually is, it's not as hard as people think that it is, you know?
Actually, you're right.
I almost look forward to it more than anything to ground myself, but
yeah. And then it's because what you're doing is you're creating a new belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we walk around and we tell ourselves something long enough that we just start believing it to be true.
Exactly. I want to quickly pause this interview and tell you about the Handel Group coaches that I've had the honor and privilege of bringing onto the Happiness Happens podcast. With every conversation and interview, I've learned something so impactful and so life-changing. Inner You Life is the online coaching course from Handel Group that gives you the tools to get yourself unstuck, wildly happy, and thriving where it matters most to you. Your relationship to yourself, career, love, body, money, time, and more. From wherever, whenever. Recommended by Hugh Jackman, Dr. Mark Hyman, Forrest Whitaker, Elena Brower, and hundreds more. Taught in MIT, Stanford School of Business, and 50 plus institutes of learning across the world. Visit inneryou.coach and use the code HappinessHappens at checkout for $75 off. Now, back to the episode.
Exactly. And then what I do is look at the thoughts, hold them up and say, is this thought in service of my dream? Is this help me? Is this in service of the dream? And if it's a yes, it's called, then keep it. Yay. It's like, it's supporting you.
Yeah.
You hold it up and you go, no, that's not in service of the dream. That's not helping me, you know, do the things I care about the most. And I go, then you got to look at that and start to shift it into something else that will be in service of the dream.
Oh, I love that. That's excellent. I love the way you put that. When it comes to something like spirituality, for example, do you integrate it at all into your coaching practice with clients?
You know, everybody has their own spiritual practice, but I really, truly they need a level of spirituality. It could be individual. Everybody's got to do what's right for them, but grounding down in your own spirituality is very important. You know, and I think it could be part of really the whole dreaming and, you know, really getting proud of who you are and what you're doing. That spirituality piece is the quieting of the mind and the acknowledging, you know, of the power to co-create, you know, with something bigger than yourself, and then begin to create magic around that. So, you know, I think it's really important.
Yeah. And it sounds like, you know, if you are coaching someone and, you know, they're integrating spirituality into what they're doing, they're actually getting the benefits of your coaching tenfold, because you're actually quieting yourself down enough that you can understand things in a different way.
Yes, because the inner dialogue is so loud. It's like screaming.
Yeah.
And so quieting your inner dialogue enough that you can examine it there's the key to change.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So you coach specifically people who are going through rough patches in their lives? Is that your sort of bread and butter, or?
I coach all people. I think my goal is to have people just get to their dreams and really be proud and, you know, happy, right? Because, and really happy comes from being proud. And so I think that we all have rough patches, and I think it's part of growth. And I think it's actually part of us evolving to the next level, but helping people through that, rather than, you know, we hit a rough patch and sometimes it's like, okay, never mind. That really isn't the dream. No, thanks. I got disappointed. Let me just go back. Right. Versus really helping somebody understand that sometimes disappointment, it's okay, because it reminds you about what you really do want.
It's right? So true.
And then the game is going to be understand that disappointment, but grow from it and, you know, push forward rather than, you know, call it quits and dumb the dream down, which was what I did all the time. I would dumb the dream down so I could just be okay. And it's sad, right? Because I was like, no, this is good enough.
Yeah. Like that's it. It's good enough. It's good enough. You know, it's like, you're saying to yourself in a way, like, I don't deserve to have more. Like, that's good. I'm good with that.
Right. it's an odd way of really not standing in your power, but it's also sneaky because then you're off the hook for having to play for something bigger. And then initially we go, no, but truthfully, like the things we're most proud of in life are the things we really had to struggle for or work at. You know, we never get something easy and we go, oh, I'm so proud of that. It's like, you know, the things that really took something are the things we're the most proud of, which just shows you like coming up against some challenge doesn't mean it's a bad thing. That's your little like whisper for like, okay, there's going to be something awesome on the other side of this.
Yes. Yes, that's such a big point. So you're reminding me of something that I've done in the past. As you start to grow and evolve and like go into different things and start new stuff in general, I found myself in a place of being like, well, this is really hard right now. And I just don't know if this is for me. I think, you know what? I think I'm just going to go back to where I was. We pretend it never happened. Like, we'll just stop completely. And then I was like, well, that's nearly impossible. Like I could never just go back to, how do you go back to the place where you were when you've come so far to see how much greatness can actually happen and actually push through that fear to get to the other side?
Yeah. You can't. Like, no. You act like you can, but then you sit there in like this fake world now because you've tasted something, right? And you know there's something, but sometimes we got to go through the struggle or, you know, through the dark or through the difficult times to actually get to where you want to go. Mm-hmm. And that difficulty is part of the learning process. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm like constantly reminding myself, you know, pushing through is a good, you know, with kindness and self-care, but it really makes a difference.
It does make a difference. Oh, I had such a good question for you and I just lost it. I'll have to come back to it. No, it was so good. I just lost it. Oh, that's okay. When you are, when you're coaching your clients and you're actually living and breathing what you practice every single day, what does it mean to you to be able to live your life in that kind of intention?
It's like, I think it's critical. My point, my reason for being here, like I'm on a mission to help heal the world, like to, you know, radical mission to get people like happy and proud and doing what they want. But you can't do it unless you're doing it yourself because you don't know the struggle. I know the struggle of going like, oh, get up at 5:30. I'd rather stay in bed. But no, I have a promise, no snoozing, you know, no snoozing. Right. So then I can't encourage my clients to do something that's difficult if I am not in my own challenge myself. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work. So for me, actually living the method, it's like necessary. You know, I want to go, oh, it's amazing, but it's so much more basic than that. It's absolutely critical so that I can understand the struggle, because otherwise I'm teaching you something and not really living in it myself.
Exactly. And that comes through in the way that you're coaching and the passion that you have, like you were saying earlier before. I remembered my last question that I wanted to ask you. Okay. Do you have, if you come across someone just like your everyday person and like you can feel and sense from them so much that they could benefit so much from coaching, is there anything that you tell them? Like, do you plant like the seed or like nudge, like, you know, maybe this is for you?
I do, only because when I understand the why of what am I doing, like I'm not just selling something, right? Like I'm really in the game to get somebody happy. And then I think that the Handel method actually works. And I'm like living proof to be like, look at me, I'm happy. I got married on New Year's Eve. I just got remarried. I found him. I met him on a street corner in New York. Like,
no way.
You know, everybody's like, I can never find love. It's not. I'm like, no, trust me. Like, if you do this method and you follow through and write your dreams and catch your inner dialogue and do the hard work and follow through with your promises and it's a game changer. And so I'm like, actually, for me, I have got to, otherwise, like, I'm not changing the world. You know, if it's right. Like
that.
there are sometimes if you don't have money, then I'm like,
Sure.
go look at our free stuff. If you go to handel.com, like we have blogs that are so fun, right? If you have some money, like we have this online digital course that makes it so much more affordable.
Yes.
Which is so critical. So, you know, we have one general one called Inner You Life. So it's like inner, INNER, the letter U. But now we're just launching an Inner You Love, it's like a supplemental program. It's a digital online course. You could go as slow as you want, as fast as you want. It's yours forever. You have like opportunity for like constant, like group coaching. It just is all there for you.
That's amazing.
That is literally what I did before it was in the digital form that just came out, right? But I was like one of the guinea pigs that, you know, Lauren Zander, who's the founder of the program, like put me through this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can find somebody on the streets of New York City when I was just walking on a Saturday, I swear to God, it's possible. It's possible.
Oh my God, I love it. That's so awesome. And actually, just as a side note, everyone that's listening right now, there is a code to get some dollars off of the program. Yeah. So definitely look at the show notes there. So
yeah, the show notes. So the promo code is happiness happens, and instead of $650, it's $500, and it's like yours forever. But it literally was the game changer for me, because I was walking around like not doing a good job, barely dating, acting like it was like I was too old and it's too late and why bother, and you know, game changer.
That's really, really good. Okay. So everyone who's listening right now, if you're looking for love, this is the way to go. At least start to shift some of the stories that you tell yourself around love. You know what I mean? Of why you don't deserve it, because that's at the core of it. It's, you know, a lot of the times when there's a block in something, it's because we don't feel like we deserve to have that specific thing, whether it's love or money or this or that. It doesn't matter what it is. How could someone get unstuck from a situation that they might be feeling really stuck in? How would you tell them to start one small thing that they could do to start to shift their mindset?
Let me think, because there's a couple and I'm like, oh my God, I can only pick one. Gosh darn it.
Or two or three.
You know, first I would have them write a purge. So that's where you dump the thoughts down on paper, like I said before. So it's one specific tool. And we have you do that if you do the love, like you really will dump down your purge on love, you know, and it was like, oh my God, it's never going to happen. They're all stupid. There's no good men in New Jersey. I don't know why the hell I even tried. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Like, so you hear it's going to be dark, crazy, conflicting, you know, then I go, yeah, you did it right. Right. Cause that's exactly what our thoughts are. Dark, crazy, awesome. Conflicting, you know, like crazy, right? But then once it's down on paper, then you can start to look at it and hold each one up and go, are there really no men in New Jersey, no good men in New Jersey? You know, and the answer is like, no. Are really all the good men taken? No. I might not be looking in the right place. I might not be keeping my eyes up. I might, you know, have to be proud of myself. Like, am I proud of, you know, how I am living and what I'm doing? But going through that purge line by line, and then you might need help from a friend or a coach or, you know, somebody to help you look at it a little bit more objectively. Cause I was like, no, I swear there's no good men in New Jersey. I promise you. Right. Or, you know, and then, you know, you need to have, oh, wait a minute. That's not so true. And you go, all right. Right. Because it is a way to save myself from, you know, keep myself safe and dumb the dream down. Then I'm off the hook for actually having to go be great, be vulnerable, ask the question, put myself out there, risk somebody saying, no, thank you. You know, but the game is the no's get you closer to the yes. Right. So I would go first, write the purge and then talk back to it. And then once you've talking back to it, those words and you can glean gold from that. And some of the gold that you're gleaning are your missing actions, right? Because they're like, oh, well, I don't go out anywhere. Like, I don't really talk to people. I like go out with my friends. I sit down at the table. I talk to them. Okay, goodbye, and leave. Like,
Exactly.
okay, you want to know why I'm not like even out looking for anybody? Because I'm not finding anybody, because I'm not really looking.
Exactly.
You know, and then it's a numbers game. You got to get out there. You got to join a couple, do some online stuff, do whatever you're comfortable with, but really go out and do it like you mean it. So I would say, write the purge, get some help with what I call the talk back, what we call the talk back of actually looking at it, holding it up, going, is this truth? Is this an exaggeration? Is there something I'm not saying or doing? You know, what's the missing piece there? And then putting yourself in some good, what we call promises, to take small, specific, measurable steps.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
I love it. I am so floored at how fast the time has gone by. And I know this is actually stuff I feel like I could talk to you forever, to be honest. Next time I'm in New Jersey, might have to come find you. No, I'm kidding. Well, maybe not. If you have an event or something, like, I would love, that would be so fun.
It'd be so fun. And then, come we'll take a class, and then we'll do a workshop. Oh, we should plan something.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we should. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. My last question for you is a question that I ask all of my guests. And it is, how could someone start to integrate a little bit more happiness in their day, every single day, starting today?
Okay. And I knew you were going to ask that question, because I've listened to some of your podcasts, and I, love them.
Right? Oh, thank you so much.
So I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, you know what I think? I think it's read your dream every day. Oh. So what I do is, like, I have dreams that I leave just in my desk here. And every day when I do my morning meditation and my, preparing for my day, I read my top dreams.
Oh, wow.
I read my career dream, and mostly I read my career dream and my home dream. So my home dream is like, now that, I'm married and we're building this home, we have 5 kids, and it's just like, really like, how do I want to live in my house, and how do we want to be as heads of this household?
Oh, wow.
That dream, and I read my career dream.
Oh,
and
that's
my career dream is just like, oh my God, like, I'm a radical healer on my divine mission. I speak and live boldly. I'm an expert, a visionary who coaches with wisdom and builds with heart. Results are revolutionary, quick, and cause the necessary change for deep happiness for my clients and my tribe. I'm a light bringer, and my joy is infectious. I'm a leader in the world of dying, making the profound difference the world is desperately waiting for. I'm the stand for teaching others to design their death powerfully, or design their goodbyes with heart and honesty. I'm a dynamic and magnetic speaker who leads to sold-out events, conferences, and workshops. Work is like play, and I dance in the honor of changing lives.
Oh my God. That's so good.
And that's what everybody should do. Just write that dream, and write it from, like, passion, to make sure there's no digs in it, but like, writing a dream like that has me every day go like, that's right.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. And yes, I will. Right. And then it's a game changer, because you're changing your mind. You're reminding, it's like a GPS for where you're going.
Yeah.
Keeps you in your heart around it all, which is much harder to sell out when you're in your heart. Much 100%. Harder to quit when you're in your heart.
100%.
That's my piece of advice.
Well, I think that that's an amazing piece of advice. I think it's one of my favorite ones I've ever heard, to be honest. And I really also think that you live out all of that you just read every single day. And it comes through in the way that you talk and your energy and this conversation even. It's amazing. You're so impacting lives everywhere you go. It's amazing. Amazing. I'm so proud to have you on this show.
Oh my gosh, it's my honor. And it went way too fast.
It always does. It always does. But before we go, where could our listeners find you if they want to learn more about you?
Oh my gosh, they can come to our website, handelgroup.com, HANDEL group.com. Or if you want to really come for, dealing with an online digital course, go to inneryou.com. No, that's not true. Inneryou.com. See, now you really know it because I said it wrong. Inneryou.coach. And when you go there, you can, choose Inner You Life or Love. If you want to deal with love, pick the Inner You Love course, and you can put the promo code in for you. Happiness Happens, and you'll get a discount.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
The game changer. Like, come on and join me. Like, the more people that are happy, the more we impact the world. It's like you throw a stone in the lake and it ripples out. So for every one of us that imagine the change in this world that's why I love what you're doing, because a little bit of happiness really just spreads out, and we can change the whole world by everybody just doing one happy thing.
That's completely true. It's very aligned with my own personal beliefs as well. When I started this show, I don't talk about this often, but when I started this show, all I wanted was to just impact one person. I was like, if one person listens, totally fine by me. And now we're at like thousands of people listening. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy to go from one place to another. And, like you were saying throughout this whole show, when you do something that you love, it's not work. You know what I mean? When you do something you love, you do it out of passion and drive. Like, this coming on here has never felt like a job. You know what I mean? It's what I do for fun. Like, when people say, like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, podcast?
Yes.
Does that count?
Like, wait, does that count? Is that work? Is that what I want? Like, that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much, Hildie, for being on the show today. I've loved every single minute of it.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me. Like, what you're doing, game changing, life altering work,
Thank you.
and your community, together is powerful.
Thank you.
So I'm honored to be able to be on with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. That has rocked me to my core. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you so much, everybody who for tuning in today. Thank you for being here for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to these amazing words. And I hope that there are so many nuggets of information in here. I hope that you get to, pull them all out and actually practice them in your life every single day. And remember that happiness happens every day when you're least expecting it. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope these words have brought you inspiration, insight, and a bit more happiness. Please leave a comment or a review if this episode resonates with you. I would be so grateful. Until next time, remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.